Try to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark, a.k.a. Derringer. Today is Sunday, April 19th, and you are listening to episode 257 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for PlanetSide news and information. As always, I'm brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. So what's been going on with me this past week besides, coronavirus and being trapped indoors just like all the rest of you? I can honestly say that I have played almost zero PlanetSide 2. We've all been pretty much taking a break after the last Outfit Wars because, as you guys know, we grinded a little too hard to get into Outfit Wars to even begin with, and I haven't even wanted to touch PlanetSide 2 since that, because the grind just burned me the hell out of PlanetSide 2, I'm not going to lie. I did pop in quickly after the April 15th game update to unlock some of the stuff I'm going to talk about in the first topic this week, so I'll hold on to that. But so I did play a little bit, but again, it was just to buy some stuff and then log back out. I haven't touched it since that time. I've been watching some TV and doing some other things instead, rather than just get in and continue to feel burnt out in PlanetSide 2. I'll talk about this a little bit when we get deeper into this week's show as well. So just so you know where I am, I'm still alive. Don't worry about it. So moving on, what's in store for this week's show? Well, first I want to go over that April 15th game update, which introduced a new loadout slot, new items, and a revamp to some of the escalation things. And then after that, I want to go over the apology that Andy put on Reddit regarding the poor execution of that game update. There were a few other things that he went over there that I want to talk about more than his apology. And then I'm going to finish this week by talking about the future of Outfit Wars and really what needs to be changed and why, and maybe my thoughts on some of that. So strap in as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. So first up this week, the April 15th game update, which has been titled Tactical Loadout. And obviously that's because of the new tactical slot that has been added to all characters in game. The good thing is this isn't something that you have to purchase. You get this tactical slot on all of your characters. Unfortunately, it doesn't have anything in it. You do have to purchase some things to actually deploy into it. So right now, everything in this is new merit reward items. So note that you have to earn merit by playing with your outfit to get some of these. And they did say that in the future that it may house some other limited tactical equipment as well. So starting with this new tactical slot, the Flash XS1, that's the mini Flash, is now located in the tactical slot. So if you've unlocked that previously, you can load that into your tactical slot and then be able to pull the Flash XS1. You're also able to buy a couple new things. The first one is called Caltrops. They're deployables for outdoor use only, and they're to hinder the movement of enemy vehicles. Note that Caltrop isn't the right term for these. They should really be called tank traps, or as other people have pointed out, hedgehogs is the actual name of these things. But they're called Caltrops in PlanetSide 2. Note that the Caltrop can be moved through by friendly vehicles, and if you have a gate shield diffuser on your vehicle, you can move through these even if they're enemies, just like you can move through a gate shield. Next, they also added the Hard Light Canopy, which provides a small circular cover to protect infantry against airborne assaults. Think of it as a small personal hard light barrier or a sky shield barrier to protect you from air-to-ground attacks. Next, the Auxilary Spitfire has been added, which I think is probably the most controversial addition in this update, because I've seen, or people have been talking about seeing far too many Spitfire turrets out in the game now, which honestly I don't have a problem with. Spitfires are fine. I do wish this was maybe an engineer-only thing, but if it's going in the same vein as the Reserve Hardlight Barrier that's not engineer-only, it makes sense. But again, you can unlock an Auxiliary Spitfire, and it mimics the functionality of the engineer version completely. And the final new item in the tactical slot is the Accordion Bomb. And again, like those other three that I mentioned, as well as the Flash XS1, these are all purchased via merit. And what this does is it deploys a explosive device that will deal high damage over a wide area, and particularly does a lot of damage to construction objects. Note that the bomb can be diffused. So the good news is, if you've been sitting on a ton of outfit merit for any reason, now there are quite a few things that you can actually go and spend your merit on, other than decals or cosmetics or armor or things like that. You can actually get some neat things to use within the game itself. Next, they made some changes to outfit resources. So now you require a minimum participation score, and this would be combined between all members of an outfit, of 3,000 before receiving any base capture resource rewards. And obviously this is designed to prevent ghost capping. Now also, outfits who capture a base will now receive their first tick of resources over time immediately, rather than having to wait for that tick to actually go off. Next, on the world map, they made a change for multiple instances of the same zone. They're going to have numbers on them now. So for an example, if there are multiple versions of Sanctuary open, one of them will be listed as Sanctuary 1 and the other will be listed as Sanctuary 2. Much easier for people to find each other in Sanctuary now that they'll actually have numerical designations on them. They also made it so the targeting reticule while selecting Sanctuary in the world map is a little less obstructive now. They also made some changes to Coal Tier. Coal Tier has been offline for a while now, but it is back. It's going to be available under certain conditions. Basically, during high times of server pop, it will become available to accommodate some overflow, and also during times of very low server population, it could become available to provide a more focused play space. Now, if you're capturing territory on Coal Tier, if you get to the 66% capture mark, that's going to trigger a 30-minute meltdown alert, after which will lock the continent. However, unlike other meltdown alerts on the regular continent, it doesn't provide any rewards once completed, but instead you're going to get a 25% extra experience during the entire duration of the meltdown alert. Also note that they have made the decision not to allow war assets on Coal Tier, which I don't know that I 100% agree with. I mean, I know it's a smaller fighting area and it could get clogged with war assets if a lot of people use them, and orbital strikes and all kinds of things like that. But I'm wondering if that's something that they'll change in the future and allow war assets. Maybe some situational war assets will be available on there, like maybe the Steel Rain and some of the Anvils, and not so much orbital strikes. But I'm surprised that they're not allowing any war assets at all on Coal Tier, but that's the way it stands right now. Next, on Sanctuary, they made some visual improvements. They added warp gate terminals to the lower levels, and the join combat prompt should no longer appear when you're sitting in Sanctuary itself, kind of doing nothing. Moving on to the outfit Armory, they added a new permission type titled Bastion, and all Bastion-related components in addition to the Bastion will be added to this, so it's no longer added on to the expedition permissions, which is good because clearly now you can say, well, these people can do the expeditions but can't pull a Bastion. You make the Bastion a little bit higher priority than some of the other things. Also, overclocking assets can no longer be done by players who do not possess the correct permissions to do it. Next, they made a lot of updates to war assets themselves. This is basically the first round of adjustments, and the goal was to make them more accessible to outfits, and also adjust pricing based on what the desire of each item has been in game so far. So starting with the Steel Rain, the first thing they did to it though is they added a new graphical change to it. So a small swirling maelstrom now appears above the location that Steel Rain is going to get dropped into, and it visually indicates the drop zone itself. They also removed the polystellarite, that's the purple resource cost, from Steel Rain altogether, and they cut the Cynthium cost, that's the blue one, in half. It used to be 50 and now it's only 25. Next, the Orbital Strike. This is first a good change. They reduced the maximum held count from 3 down to 2. I do think that they were seeing far too many Orbital Strikes going off, one after the other, and this will certainly reduce orbital striking a bit. They also increased the polystellarite cost. Again, this is the purple one. It used to only cost 3 polystellarite. Now it costs 5 polystellarite. Next, the Citadel Shield had its weight reduced. It's now 50. It used to be 75. They also reduced the amount of Araxium required. That's the green resource. From 100 down to 75, and they removed the polystellarite, again, the purple resource cost from this. It used to require 3, now it requires none. Seeing these changes, I would expect that we would see more Citadel Shields in the game soon. Moving on to the Anvil, they changed the Araxium cost to only cost 15 Araxium from 20, and they removed the Cynthium, that's the blue resource cost, from them altogether. For the medium Anvil, they reduced its Araxium cost from 50 down to 25, and they reduced its Cynthium cost from 10 down to 3. And for the heavy Anvil, they reduced its Araxium cost from 100 to 75, and its Cynthium from 25 down to 10. So as you can see, they made all 3 of the Anvil costs much cheaper than they used to be. So I think it's to push more of these out onto the battlefield. Next, for expeditions, all the expedition lengths have been cut in half. So the short expeditions are now only 12 hours, the medium ones are only 24, and the long ones are only 36 hours at this point. Obviously, that's to allow people to push through these a lot quicker. And then finally, some crafting adjustments were made to the Bastion. So each piece must be crafted in 6-hour increments as opposed to 12 hours previously. And they must be crafted in the following order. You must start with the hull reconstruction, or reconstitution, and then move on to the support systems, then the rearm and refuel system, and then finally the response vehicles. So again, you have to do those 4 in order before you can craft the Bastion itself. And the intention of these changes was to create a buffer of time where resources don't feel wasted if they're not going directly towards funding a Bastion. This also does slow the rate at which a Bastion can be pulled for outfits that can more easily harvest resources. And note that they do have the ability to readjust it in the future if Bastions aren't appearing as often as they like. Because as you know, obviously, you could have these crafted at any time, going on and on. Now, forcing them to be done in a specific order definitely changes things. There were some additional changes to the Bastion, beginning with the Mauler cannons. They now have a unique model. They no longer deal damage through one-way collision like spawn room shields, which I think is the biggest, most important change made to the Mauler cannons here. They also reduced its maximum blast damage to 1,000, and they changed its blast damage resistance type. And what this should do is give a better window of survivability for vehicles that are aware of an incoming barrage, and also allow certain defensive slots like flanker armor to help mitigate the damage coming out of the Mauler cannons to vehicles. I think this is a good change. Obviously, vehicles were getting killed too easily by Mauler cannons. When I last flew the Bastion, I was zeroing in on Sunderers and taking them out in one volley. So hopefully that changes to allow Sunderer drivers to kind of try to get out of the way of Mauler cannons as they're firing. There were some other miscellaneous Bastion changes so that they now do properly generate power projection score when they're over VS territory, because apparently that wasn't working properly. The uplink terminal has been renamed Command Terminal, and it was given new UI visuals. Seats 3 through 6 should no longer show empty ammo pools in the HUD seating chart, and they added a missing panel to the starboard side of the Bastion itself. Moving away from the Bastion, we next want to talk about the black market, because some new items have been added to black market vendors. They will not be rotating the old items out of the store in this update, just so you know. So the first one is a new utility slot item called Infradyne. It's a single-use injector, which allows you to view heat signatures as if you were using an infrared scope, and it lasts up to 20 seconds. It is a consumable, and it is restocked by using A7, so just make sure you're aware of that. If you're ever out of A7, you're not going to restock your Infradyne. Again, it does not use nanites. And the next new item is the NS-30 Tranquility. It is a battle rifle based on the NS-30 Vandal. It fires concussive smart slugs that slow enemy infantry on impact. I haven't had a chance to play with this. I'm looking forward to the next time I actually get in game. I got to record some video for this week's show. Maybe I'll pop in and pick up a Tranquility and run around with that and see how that does. I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I don't know how it really slows enemy infantry. I need to play around with it myself. But I'm definitely curious about something like this. Could be a one-trick pony, but I'm willing to play around with it and see how it goes. Then there were some other miscellaneous changes, fixes, and additions. There were some server optimizations done. They remedied some inconsistencies with construction resistances. A big one, they added, they greatly reduced the damage taken from an orbital strike to objects beneath a sky shield. Instead, the sky shield module is going to take the brunt of that damage. So this is adding a ton of survivability to construction items that have a sky shield built over them. So that's a big one to make sure you're aware of. They also fixed an issue where players were using construction turrets in their debuff state while entering them while an AI module was active. They changed the concussion grenade's turning speed, so it now scales regarding the distance from the blast itself, similar to the blurred screen visuals. They fixed the issue with the Dragoon not playing firing audio under certain conditions. They updated the audio for the Arbalist. They fixed when clicking the outfit button, and it's going to now bring you to the outfit search page if you are not in an outfit, which is kind of a no-brainer. Under-barrel grenade launchers should no longer have animation hitches during reloads. Repair ribbons should once again count towards directive progress. I said last week that's a huge one for me. Wielded knives should no longer flip in the hand when leaving a sprint. Switching weapons while reloading pump-action shotguns no longer causes you to reload other weapons with that pump-actions animation. Not a huge thing, but still. The BR-15 cert refund no longer prompts you to leave coal tier, because obviously that's very old, an old string that was still in there. They fixed an issue where some outfits were having difficulty setting outfit decals. They added a beautification pass to the base's capture points and surrounding terrain to Desolation. They made it so you can now craft the Revenant implant, and it's also part of the drop table when buying implants. They removed the broadcast tab from the social menu. The Mjolnir, that's the Top Gun for the NC, had its first-person camera fixed for both Vanguards and Harassers. The SR-200, which is the NSO sniper rifle, should no longer have animation hitches when aiming down sights with optics less than 6x. They fixed it so you can now regenerate nanites on Desolation. Obviously, that was a big bug. And finally, the Mayhem Araxium tier directive now uses the correct tier icon. So again, there is your entire game update. Decent stuff in here. I really like the addition of the new tactical slot deployables. I can't wait to play around with the Auxiliary Spitfire and definitely the hard light canopy. I can certainly see myself dropping that hard light canopy outside of doorways that are getting air to grounded a lot. So I'd be curious to see a lot of people using that. I do think that the war asset changes are good. I think we'll see more of some of those other ones and maybe less orbital strikes compared to everything else. And, all in all, the black market items kind of intrigue me as well, and I can't wait to sit and actually play around with them. So at the end of this game update, Rel did add a note about looking forward to the end of this, and started by congratulating everybody who participated in Outfit Wars Alpha 1 and thanked all the casters and reminded everybody that it's still an alpha cycle. But he did also announce that the next Outfit Wars Alpha Cycle 2 is going to begin enlistment on May 1st. And the next war is going to take place on May 16th. So you have less than a month as of this recording to get your outfit ready if you're thinking about enlisting in Outfit Wars Alpha Cycle 2. I can certainly tell you that as it stands right now, I don't think that B-Way is going to participate in it. I think it burned a lot of us out on it, and we're just probably going to hang back in the wings and see how this second round fleshes out. But who knows, things could change at any time. But with that, let's move on to our second topic this week. So the second topic this week was Andy's apology letter on Reddit regarding that game update that I just went over. As he described it, it was an absolute shit show. The publish took longer than expected. They had issues with people logging in and realizing that they had lost all the A7 that they had accrued. There was also a severe lag issue on most of the continents, and that's why they locked everything down. So he wanted to get in front of everything and issue a quick apology for it. So anybody who had their A7 wiped out with this update, they gave everybody the maximum amount that you're able to accrue, and that's 5,000, regardless of how little you may have had. And that was a direct effort to make up for the bug that they failed to catch before publishing that game update. For anybody who didn't lose A7, he activated double XP. That ran through Friday, so unfortunately, as of this recording, if you didn't take advantage of it, you missed out on it. That's that. The only other thing is the stability issues. They didn't anticipate the stability issues, and the reason they didn't is because when they published all this to PTS, they didn't get the large groups of players playing on PTS that would have made that instability issue surface. So they're going to be looking to have better ways to simulate those types of situations, but not require hundreds of or thousands of us to actually log into the PTS to verify that it's working. All in all, I appreciated the apology from Andy regarding all this. I don't know that it was 100% needed. Double XP wasn't necessarily needed. Just fixing A7 and everything like that. I mean, they gave 5,000 A7 to everybody who logged in. So, I mean, you should be thankful just getting all 5,000. And double XP was just a bonus on top of everything else. So I certainly think that this was handled appropriately, even though a lot of people were upset with everything that was going on. Now, what I really want to talk about in this note is there were some other things that he talked about. First, monthly game updates. Because he wrote that we've seen in the past when a major update drops, a lot of people come back and a lot of new players discover the game, and they hope that they'll continue playing. But if they don't continue supporting the game at a regular cadence with new things, a lot of people disappear. So one of their goals for 2020 was not just to release Escalation and then go silent. They have a larger team, therefore there are larger expectations. The game update that they dropped this past week marks 5 weeks since the launch of Escalation, and they have had a good portion of the dev team working on a big update that should be coming in May. Also, they have a game update that they've scheduled for June as well. So between each of those updates, in addition to the Outfit Wars schedule, they're working with a lot of different community groups to coordinate and promote in-game events to maintain a lot of the momentum they received from the Escalation launch itself. And I'm in some of these private channels with Rogue Planet Games, and I do see the work that's going on behind the scenes to help promote some of these in-game events that other players are putting together, and not just Rogue Planet Games is putting together. But all in all, note that they have a big game update scheduled for May, and they have one scheduled for June as well. And that's a pretty good kickoff to the summer itself. And he says, in other words, the RPG team has lofty goals for 2020, and we intend to deliver them. He then went on to talk about in-game events, talked about a bit about Outfit Wars. He said that he loved watching the games, and the broadcasters did a good job. And also, he mentioned that Alpha Cycle 2 begins May 1st, with the war taking place on the 16th itself. But he also wanted to focus in on some of the other big events that are going on, like the Battle of the Bastions, which is supposed to take place on Saturday, April 25th, Lane Smash, Community Smash, etc., and how the devs want to help these community-driven things. He also provided an update on the Chinese and Russian translations. He said that they've received the final drop of all the translations, and then they're looking at about 2 to 3 weeks before it hits live. And to note, though, that they are planning on pushing it to the PTS, so Russian and Chinese speakers can provide feedback in addition to their internal localization QA testing process. So if you're looking for Russian or Chinese translations for this, keep your eyes open in 2 to 3 weeks for that to hit the PTS. And then finally, he talked about the next dev stream, because it's actually been a little while since we've seen a dev stream. And obviously, with all of them working home for the past month, it's kind of difficult to get all of them together because they can't use the Daybreak broadcasting studio. However, they are in the process of preparing the next stream to take place remotely, because as he says, they are excited to share details about the next big game update. So he says they're planning to try to do one the week of April 27th. So certainly not this week, but next week. He does say that it might be a bit janky. Cardo might not be wearing pants, but that everybody has to make sacrifices. Note that they will make a formal announcement when that happens with the exact date and time. So certainly look forward to that. So again, there is the entire apology from him, as well as some other little nuggets that he dumped in there that I thought were important. But with that, let's move on to our third and final topic this week, and it's about Outfit Wars. So I'm sure most people are tired of the Outfit Wars talk at this point, but on last week's show, I spent the majority of it talking about my experiences in Outfit Wars, and things like that. And the thing that I didn't feel that I had enough time for, and didn't have enough time to actually collect my thoughts regarding, was the future of Outfit Wars and maybe what the problems are with this first round. And I do want to phrase over and over again that this is an alpha. That was Outfit Wars Alpha 1, and it was, as always, intended to be a first stepping stone for the devs to see how it played out, gather feedback from it, and then make changes going forward so that Outfit Wars is good, and that everybody, or the majority of people, are satisfied with Outfit Wars. So I do understand that, and I want to give the devs a little bit of slack regarding that before I dive into all the different things that I didn't like about Outfit Wars and what I think should be changed going forward in Outfit Wars. So again, if any of the devs are listening this week, I completely understand and empathize that it was an alpha. It was used to gather feedback. So with that being said, this is the negativity that I saw regarding Outfit Wars, since you do want feedback. So I think my first thing that I want to talk about is the qualification process for Outfit Wars. Obviously, I've mentioned it multiple times that I am completely burnt out from playing PlanetSide 2, and that's a direct result of the 24/7 qualification period for Outfit Wars. When the system reset, a couple, I guess we're a week and a half ago at this point, when the system reset, B-Way made the concentrated effort or decision that we were going to do our best to play nonstop and get into Outfit Wars. Obviously, we succeeded in what we wanted to do. However, like myself, quite a few members of B-Way got absolutely burnt out on the game in just 6 days because we were playing as much as we were playing. And it felt so grindy and so unsatisfying playing all that time over and over again that it's really not something that I think the majority of us even want to do a second time. Not to mention the fact that it made outfits within the same faction direct competitors to each other. There was no camaraderie whatsoever during the qualification phase for outfits to assist each other to capture territory. It was 100% winner take all. At least that was the mentality. Winner take all regarding points being scored to get your name on that leaderboard above all else. And we even saw that before the reset, where teams were faction outfits were TKing members of other outfits so that they would get more capture ticks on the point, or so that they could res players to get more res points on the game, or spamming ammo and things like that. And the fact that this qualification phase became so grindy and so intra-faction war-like, it's given such a bad taste in my mouth regarding the whole thing. Now, as it sits, we only have about 2 weeks until the next Outfit Wars qualifying phase kicks off, and I think having it go on for as long as it did, it was like a 14-day period, is way too long. Do I know how to fix this? No, I don't. I've read other people's suggestions. Maybe it should only be listed at prime time, a couple hours a day. Here's when everybody needs to try hard to actually get into Outfit Wars. I don't know that I like that solution to it either. I know there's going to be changes to only the top 10 members of an outfit, top 10 most point scorers in an outfit are going to contribute towards this. I don't know if that's even the best way to do it. All in all, the qualification phase needs an overhaul. It is creating too much intra-faction hostility amongst. Speaking just by Emerald Vanu, the other Vanu players hate B-Way at this point for what they did to get their way through Outfit Wars. Granted, I think it's kind of tapered off a bit now, but if all the outfits are going to go strong again starting May 1st, it's just going to resurface again, and it's going to create a lot of enmity within the same faction, which there shouldn't be. Next, I think my next major complaint is the potential stacking of Outfit Wars. And this could also be that some outfits aren't large enough to participate in a 48-player match of Outfit Wars. maybe a lot of you don't know, but there was a lot of drama before the Emerald Gold match kicked off, where one faction said that they were going to completely stack their team with ringers and to try and beat all the other factions that were playing in it. And in the end, it turned out to be a giant meme, and in poor taste as it was, it certainly soured me to getting into outfit wars altogether. And when I initially heard that one faction was going to stack their team with ringers, that I thought, well, why should we even participate in this if that's what's going to be allowed? So I did speak to Rel regarding it and voiced my concerns about why that would put a bad taste in my mouth. And the response that I got is that the outfits should be policing themselves regarding who's allowed into an outfit and things like that. And while I understand in a quote unquote honorable situation that could work, but in a win at all costs mentality, I could certainly see people trying to skirt that. The one suggestion that came out of our talks with Rel, I wasn't the only one talking about this, there were a few other people talking to him about this, is perhaps making the suggestion that outfit members being able to participate in the Desolation match should be determined by outfit loyalty. So maybe you need to have at least rank 5 loyalty with an outfit. I mean, sure, people could achieve rank 5 by playing, but that does mean that they need to spend some time playing with that outfit in order to be able to play on Desolation. And I feel like that should be an easy thing to turn on or off within the system itself. I would also, in tandem with that, make outfit loyalty decay at a much faster rate than it currently does. I don't know if everybody even realizes, but outfit loyalty decays currently in the game, but you have to be absent and not playing with the outfit for a long period of time before any sort of decay even happens. I think if they ramped up that decay, coupled with, forcing outfit loyalty before you can even play on Desolation, that might take away some of the issues of ringers. Now, of course, that doesn't help a small outfit. And I'm sorry to keep going back to Emerald, but HZD, as an example, only had about 20, 30 players in their outfit, and they were eligible to play in the bronze match. And they had to bring in outside players to play in their outfits. So that would be the next thing that I disliked about Outfit Wars itself, is that I think rather than focusing on just 3 outfits playing in this, that you either need to do brackets by outfit size or double the number of outfits that are participating or something like that. I know when we originally did the testing and originally sat in on the private stuff with all the developers, they said that they'd be starting with 1 outfit, but they'd love to have 2 outfits per faction in each of the matches. And obviously that would increase it from, the current state where it's just 3 outfits per faction per server in Outfit Wars to now you're getting 6. So just think the top 6 outfits are now going to make it in. And it might be a lot less grindy in the qualification phase if more outfits are making into it. And then also, if you've got 1 larger outfit and 1 smaller outfit in the same bracket, they can work together to determine how to get their total of 96 players on Desolation rather than just the 48. Now, of course, I do understand that I think this would mean you'd need to make Desolation bigger, and I do think the map is able to be made bigger. If you look at it, it's got hexes in it that are not being used. I definitely think that they could expand the size of the map to handle a 96v96v96 fight. And just think about how much more exciting a 96-96-96 fight would be versus a 48-48-48. So like I said, I would like to see maybe doubling the number of outfits or changing the amount of brackets that they have, and maybe, have a 12v12v12 bracket, 24, 48, and then you could even go up to the 96. Now, granted, you'd end up having a lot of matches occurring one after the other, and that might be an issue, because that's my next concern, is that the fact that every outfit or every match on a server was held at the exact same time, holding them all simultaneously meant that either the casters focused on casting all 3 matches at once, or they only focused on one of them. And I know the majority of them focused on the gold match, which makes sense. Gold's supposed to be the biggest match, that's has the most prestige tied to it. But as I talked about last week, the closeness of the matches, or the perceived excitability or close, things like that, how good the matches were based on the difference between the first and the second point score. The silver matches should have been much more exciting than the gold matches and the bronze matches. So again, holding all those matches simultaneously left a lot of these outfits kind of in the cold. And yeah, I know a lot of them were streamed and things like that, so you can go back and watch them, but how many people did that? How many people have gone back and watched every Outfit Wars match? I can't say a lot of people have. I can say I podcast about this, and I haven't watched all the matches. I've congratulated everybody who won, but that's about it. I've watched a handful because I'm just not going back in to do it. So again, maybe more brackets, maybe doubling the number of outfits, and then definitely not having every single one happen simultaneously. And I know that there are other casters out there or other streamers who are kind of in the wings. Now's a good time to start bringing some of those folks in to potentially cast some of these other matches. And maybe that's something we'll see when May comes around. Next, a big complaint on the day of the games itself was not having nanites regenerate during the game. You'll note that that's been fixed in this most recent game update, but I wasn't too horribly upset with no nanite regen on Desolation. I think that one could argue that the lore says you've got to go through a wormhole to get to Desolation, and maybe your nanites are being cut off or restricted from having to go through that wormhole to get to Desolation. I wasn't horribly upset with the no nanite regen. It meant that we saw less maxes. It meant that we saw less revive grenades, less med pack, stuff like that, less grenades overall, and more just genuine gunplay going on, and things like that. So even though the nanite regen got fixed, that wasn't a huge complaint of mine within the game itself. I think a bigger complaint that I have, so just to finalize that one, I wouldn't be upset if they brought that back and made that the permanent thing. So I'm kind of against the change that they made to the nanite regen. But again, a bigger complaint that I have is the ability for outfits to gain resources on live continents during the match. And that meant that people could, and B-Way did this, and I'm guarantee almost every outfit did this. They had a set of reserved players playing on live. We had, in B-Way, we had Paige working, squad leadings, making sure that we captured territory on live so that we could constantly be gaining ticks of resources. We also had another player, Fire, in B-Way, was doing the expeditions so that we could gain, be trading stuff in nonstop, and so that we would always have a full stable of orbital strikes if they were needed, have anvils as needed, and everything that we needed as needed. I would like to see them change that so that whatever you go into the match with is all that you have. Now, you've got a few days to, work on that and gain stuff in game before you go live. I think being able to continuously gain resources to be used on Desolation kind of defeats the Desolation purpose itself. And I understand that this is kind of a ho-hum. Maybe people don't care as much about that one. But that kind of steps into my next point, and that's regarding the winning teams and the title. Because right now we learned you're getting a title. I don't know what it is. I don't think we've received it yet. I haven't received it yet. But what about all those players in your outfit who didn't get to go to Desolation? Right now I'm under the impression that only the 48 players who participated on Desolation are going to get that title. So that means anybody who assisted you on live while you were gaining resources to continue playing on Desolation, those people are just SOL. They're not going to get a title regarding this, and I don't think that that's really fair. I'm hoping that the devs say, hey, give us a list of people that you think deserve the title, and we'll add it to, a handful of more people. That might be the best thing. Otherwise, it's really unfortunate that people who really helped and had a vested interest in making sure their outfit won are kind of going to be left out in the cold. And I especially feel bad for folks who are not going to participate in the next round of Outfit Wars, and then therefore these guys just kind of may never have a chance to play on Desolation whatsoever. Next, there's been a lot of complaints about the sameness of the bases on Desolation, and I agree with that as well. They are very the same, and as other people have also mentioned, I'm still very surprised that they have not thought about using the Nexus continent for Outfit Wars. I would love them to say, hey, we've got this continent, Nexus, that no one's touched in a long time, which has a lot of variation of bases on it. I mean, the middle base on that is basically in a cave, and it's very difficult for air to get in and attack the point. I'm confused why the developers aren't thinking about using Nexus maybe in the next Outfit Wars and saying, hey, let's give everybody someplace new to fight at. Because if you think about it, again, a lot of outfits that participated this time around are saying, we're going to step back and not try as hard in this. If they knew they were going to have a completely different continent to fight over and play on, maybe they'd change their mind and you'd get a change of heart from some of these people. So if I were the devs, I would say, hey, next round we're going to use Nexus. And then the round after that, we're going to go back to Desolation. And then after that, back to Nexus. Maybe by the time after that, they've got a third one to throw into the rotation. Having some of these quote-unquote battle continents, as I would like to call them, would really kind of make Outfit Wars feel different each time and eliminate some of the sameness. Again, having every obelisk surrounded by the same exact base type on Desolation is kind of boring. So I would love to see them think about using Nexus. The next complaint that I had, and I don't think it was so much on our match, but some of the other matches, like let me use the T match, the Toxic Zerg Surfers match as an example. Their match was over in 17 minutes. Now, Desolation is set to be open for a full 90 minutes, or whichever team gets to 500 first. So when you get a match like that, it's very unsatisfying for the watchers. Now, if you're on T, a member of T, you're fucking stoked because you just raffle stomped everybody. If you've got the fastest win time, you've got some bragging rights regarding that. So, I don't want to take anything away from T for their win on that. But I think from a viewer's standpoint, maybe making the point gains slower, maybe making the capture points slower, something to make the game last a little longer than it did, because we didn't have a single game go the full 90 minutes. So I would hope that the devs are thinking about maybe a slower point gain or changing capture timers to kind of extend some of these matches a little bit. Does it mean that the T match would have ended that much sooner? Maybe not. But some of these other ones we could have. I mean, I think with slower point gain, longer times, you might have seen different outcomes from some of these games as well. Because don't forget, in that silver bracket, there were quite a few that came very down to the end where the scores were much closer. And, who knows what might happen if there were just maybe another 10 minutes to these games, what might have happened. Moving on, I got a couple more points I want to talk about. First is the starting Cordium and the availability of Cordium on Desolation. I think we got too much starting Cordium to begin with, and it was too easy to refill the Cordium, so maybe the Cordium spawns were too much. Granted, in our match, like I said, we had a dedicated person, that was me, making sure that our Cordium thing was full 100% of the time. And that we never had an issue pulling vehicles within the game itself. But I would like to see it tougher for outfits pulling vehicles on Desolation. I'd like to see some Cordium strain. I'd like to see some, more creative uses of construction to get people to other points and things like that. And I think starting with 75,000 Cordium is probably too much. And again, I would reduce the number of Cordium nodes that spawn, or even make them single spawns and never spawn again on the map, and kind of add a little element of fighting over Cordium nodes, which could make it a little bit interesting to the game. And then the final thing that I disliked about Outfit Wars themselves, and this is something that I've complained about in the past, and it's just that the Observer Cam tool itself is not the best tool to be used for Outfit Wars. Sure, it can quickly move around the map and get to different points and see everything that's going on. But I really want static cams over points that casters can jump to. I also want to be able to follow a specific player. I want the casters to be able to say, Pale Tiger right now is wrecking face in his max with his 4 engineers behind him, keeping him alive. Let me jump into his view and see what he sees, or even see above his head, or third person view behind him as he's doing stuff. I would love to see something like that added to Observer Cam. I would also love to see the Observer Cam itself be in a third-party vehicle that's not any of the 3 factions, with some sort of ability to turn on an infrared mode and be able to see every person in all the buildings, and kind of see how people are attacking different points. I've been harping for better casting tools in PlanetSide 2 since SOE Live in 2013 or 14, and we're a number of years later and they still have not changed. They've not kept up with the times. So that's the last thing I want to complain about on Outfit Wars. I think the casters did an excellent job with the tools that they have, but I would love to have more for the casters to use for what they're showing within Outfit Wars themselves. So I hope that covers all the different topics that I've been rolling around in my head about this first Outfit Wars. Again, last week's show, I talked about all the positives, the good time I had, how the wind felt, and everything like that. So today I wanted to really focus in on things that I think could be changed or should be changed within the game itself. If you agree or disagree, let me know. I would love to hear other people's thoughts on this, and I know the devs want to hear other people's thoughts on this as well. But with that, let's wrap up this week's show and move on to housekeeping this week.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
Housekeeping.
Go away.
I coming anyway?
So for housekeeping this week, I did get an email from my friend Zastrom, and he writes, I have been playing this game since beta, but now the question is whether this game is right for me, particularly with the latest changes to the outfit resource system. Why should I try to take bases when I get nothing for it? Why should I build a base when someone can click on the map for an orbital strike without having to do anything? There goes the last hour's work. To what purpose? The Bastion fleet carrier, it's something I'll never use. Will I be a victim to it? And it's fun. Now there's a camera that shows me and where I move when I've killed someone as an infiltrator. It was fun to see the opponent run around and look for me when I was in a base and flip the point, but now I can't flip points when I'm in cloak. why should I play as an infiltrator now? 7.5 years, 7 of them have been fun, but have I reached the goal now? I do hope you continue with a good job, and may Vanu smile upon you, Derringer. So first up, Zastrom, thank you for the email. You're one of the lone wolf players that I think is definitely being hurt by the Escalation game patch. If you're a lone wolf player or you're in a small outfit and you really have no reason to use any of the outfit resource system and stuff like that, then yes, this has very little for you. And yes, your construction bases are going to get destroyed. Things like that. Again, don't forget, I mentioned beginning of the show, Sky Shield change is going to help protect you from orbital strikes in your constructed bases. So that's one thing. But otherwise, you're going to get farmed by a Bastion fleet carrier. It's not going to be as much fun for someone like you. The infiltrator stuff, I disagree with capturing bases while you're in cloak. I think you need to be out of cloak to capture bases. But other than that, I do think that maybe the death cam showing people where an infiltrator is hiding is detrimental to the infiltrator. But otherwise, I don't think the death cam is that bad. I hate to say that, you've been playing for 7.5 years and it's time to quit the game, because I'm not going to say that, because Planetside 2, you shouldn't quit as long as you're having fun within the game itself. I do hope that there's going to be something different coming in the May game update, because don't forget, they said there's going to be a game update in May. There's going to be a game update in June. Do me a favor, Zastrom. Don't throw in the towel yet. Wait for the dev live stream coming in 2 weeks, and then we'll talk again after that. All right, that's going to be it for this week's show. As always, how can you get in touch with me or the show itself? You first should visit my website, which is www.instantactionpodcast.com. You can email me, like Zastrom did, at instantactionshow@gmail.com. You can also follow the show on Twitter at instactpodcast. But in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else. Also, feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show. But finally, thanks for listening, and keep spamming that join combat, formerly known as Instant Action button. Derringer out.